The format is ever changing and ever the same. Hey guys, welcome back to Casting Commons, the show where we talk and discuss all things Pauper. I am your host Teasdale, and this is my co-host, the Death Spark himself, Reese.
Hello.
You got that? You actually have the facial features of the guy in the art, I'm telling you. Before we start, please do not forget to support by rating us 5 stars on Spotify, following us on Twitter at CastingCommons1, and of course, liking and subscribing on YouTube. It is the greatest way to support us, of course, all of these things, but also don't forget to join the Discord so you can be part of hot takes, giveaways, and just talking crap with us about Pauper. Link for that is obviously in the description. Another thing you can also do is submit Pauper Thoughts of the Week, which is another thing to highlight, which kind of we're going to talk about now. But beforehand, how are you doing? You good?
Fine. Yeah, all good.
Well, it's a nice sunny bank holiday here, to be fair, so it's gone well. And the Pauper Thought of the Week for this week is being submitted by, I do apologise, I actually deleted the name by mistake. But the Pauper Thought of the Week is that Graveyard Hate in Pauper is too good. That basically means graveyard-based brews have a hard time to compete. So, this was given to us by, I'm definitely not checking right now, very professional, by Gizzy? But, yeah. So, the essential thing is that the permanent artifact-based Graveyard Hate is good, that anything that's not doing graveyard interactions that are really hard to interact with, like Ephemerate, Ghostly Flicker, sort of flicker stuff, but also Spy, where they kill in one turn, makes it really difficult to compete. And personally, I don't know how much I agree with this, and the reason for that is, well, we'll cover anyways, is Dredge for a get-go is a very, very playable deck, with a lot of different interactions. And I also think there's, there's a lot of interaction for Graveyard that a lot of people are playing, like the Graveyard Hate, sorry. So I don't know how true this is. I do think, obviously by a brew, I would think for me, something like Reanimator, for example, I would think that those things will have a hard time competing with all this other Graveyard stuff. But my main thought is as well is the payoff's not there. We don't have a Traxa or Gristlebrand that's gonna straight up win the game. We have things that die to cast down and just, that's it. The game's over. It's impacted nothing on the board and you've bent over backwards to put it in. And I would probably say that is where I would sit on this thought. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, to be honest. I don't really get the logic behind it when the best deck in the format is probably Mono Blue Terror, which is a graveyard-based, mills itself to cast bombs.
Yeah.
If the Graveyard Hate was too good, surely Mono Blue Terror would not be the best deck in the format.
Yeah.
I think the Graveyard Hate in Pauper just attacks from very weird angles. We don't have Rest in Peace, we don't have Leyline of the Void. Which is probably not a bad thing because it lets graveyard decks actually exist.
Yeah.
Which sort of goes against what this comment's saying. But then the flip side is graveyard based brews will have a hard time because the Graveyard Hate it's decent enough that you have to be doing something pretty synergistic, pretty strong, and pretty resilient. All things which brews tend not to be most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your example of Reanimator, the payoffs just aren't really there in Pauper.
Yeah.
And the reanimation spells, to be fair, aren't really there. You've got Exhume as the best one, but you don't have Reanimate, you don't have Animate Dead, you don't have Dance of the Dead, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think there's multiple things to take from this thought, right? And it's an interesting thought because, obviously, we do have good Graveyard Hate. We have good Graveyard Hate for Spy with Fairy Macabre. We have good Graveyard Hate in all colours because there's colourless ones. Then there's Spell Bomb for obviously it's colourless as well, but black really. Then you've got Thraben Charm, which is white. all of which are very powerful. Like a lot of them see play in other formats, like Eternal formats, which is a good sign. But I think a lot of the time, as you say, it's all about the deck and perspective. Like Dredge is another thing that, maybe 2 years ago, since Lot Left Giant was printed, was a brew. Like people were playing Dredge and it wasn't a good deck, but then Dread Return and Lot Left Giant made it a deck. But it's still, even though Graveyard Hate exists, it's still a really good deck, and that's because it's resilient. The thing about analysing the Graveyard Hate, you don't have, as Reese said, you don't have Rest in Peace, you don't have Leyline of the Void, etc. So all of these are just one-time effects, where the resiliency of Dredge goes, okay, I will force you to pop this now, and then I'll carry on going.
Yeah.
Or, do you know what I mean? I'll Ancient Grudge it, and then I'll carry on going. Do you know what I mean? These things are... And it's not... I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's more of what you deem as a brew, i.e., like, my thought would be Reanimator would be a brew. Like, there might be other graveyard-based decks that I haven't really thought of. But, Mogwarts.
It's a brew, right?
Ouch. The pain. I feel stabbed right there. But I think that the reason the brews would be, as you say, brews, is, as Reese said, the failing in other parts other than the Graveyard Hate. There is enough Graveyard Hate in the format. Like, if you wanted to get rid of the Graveyard Hate, i.e. Thraben Charm, there's Mesfiend, there's Juresses, there's all that sort of stuff. Like, there's Hand Disruption or whatever. Then you've got, obviously, the artifact-based stuff, like Mass Vandal, the Glamour, Naturalize, Ancient Grudge, whatever you want. There is hate for the hate, but the decks aren't strong enough to make that the case.
Yeah, it's a tough one, really, because I think the Graveyard Hate tends towards better rather than it does worse. But it's on, like, quite a knife edge of... It's probably... If you made it any worse, it would heavily impact the format and the enjoyability. And if you made it any better, it would heavily impact the format and the enjoyability. It's like at a point where it's... You could maybe get rid of like one or two things and it would still be fine. And it would maybe let brews sort of sneak in a bit more. But if you like... Example now, if Fairy Macabre wasn't in Pauper, like the format would be absolute hell because there's no real good efficient Graveyard Hate against Spy other than Fairy Macabre.
Yeah.
But then the other way, if you added like Leyline of the Void, for example, like the sideboard games would be horrendous. Like Dredge just probably wouldn't be a deck anymore because it has to find Rare Revelation, so it would have to draw the Rare Revelation and then make white mana to cast the Rare Revelation. And once you've done all that, you've just died to something else.
Yeah, I definitely
it's definitely a balancing act with the Graveyard Hate, but I think it's good enough for the format and it keeps the format in check. I think if you made it worse, the format would get really degenerate, and if you made it better, it would just absolutely like windmill slam a load of decks out of the format.
I think as well, though, from a point of view, I do think Pauper as a whole generally does like to use the Graveyard a lot. Like, even decks that are unassuming, like, use the Graveyard a lot, obviously, which is fine. But I think, as you say, like, the Graveyard Hate is reasonable enough that it's fine. Like, I think basically the decks that exist now are existing to incorporate resiliency against the Graveyard Hate there is, but they're also kept in check to somewhat. Like, obviously, Fairy Macabre keeps Spy in check, but it's also not busted to make it not a deck. And Spy, like, I don't hate Spy at all. Like, I think Spy's, like, at the moment is a fine place to be. Like, it's a fine thing to have in the format, for sure. I don't think it's that oppressive. But I'm also at the point where it's like, well, as you say, Macabre's in the format, it keeps it in check, and that's still fine. And also Spy has answers to Macabre if they want to.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's sort of, I guess, maybe spiral onto a different topic, but Spy's a weird one because it definitely feels worse for the format when it's put in a deck that is not a Spy deck. Because it's just like you're playing against elves, for example, or the Wall Spy. You just playing that Walls or Elf plan, and then they've just got a 4-mana or you're dead.
Yeah.
which a lot of decks don't have access to.
Yeah, I can definitely get behind that. It can get to a point where it could be too much. Like, I do agree. Like, if it is just two lead the Stampede decks or whatever that sort of make it work, I think I'm sort of okay with that. But as you say, if it does stretch to the fact that green-black fog's like, nah, do you know what, I'll put Spy in.
Yeah.
I can. Do you know what I mean? Like, when it gets to that point, like, I definitely agree. But, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, at the moment, it's just two decks that work with lead the Stampede. So it's kind of not the worst. But I do know what you mean, though. It's like, you don't want these two plans to sort of keep going and, you know, push other things out.
Yeah, it's when the work for the payoff is too easy, basically. Obviously, the Spy decks of old, like, they had to work quite hard. Like, the deck had to be constructed in, like, obnoxious ways and, like, run really bad cards to, like, get it to work. But now it feels like it's just sort of a package that can be slotted into quite a few decks. It's like sort of edging towards the, do we really want a 4-mana I-win button in the format?
Yeah, for sure. It can definitely go either way, for sure. But at the moment, I think it's sort of reasonable, maybe. If it keeps going, like, further and further to the oppressive side, I could definitely see it. Because, as in other formats have shown, it's just all it takes is a few cards and then it's even more oppressive. But yeah, pretty sweet to see. But interesting thought. Obviously, happy to discuss it and happy to go through it. It is an interesting thought, but I, and Reese probably as well, not trying to speak for him, probably view it as a way of, it's not good, it's not too good, it's a nice balance. And probably the brews in which we would probably need context on have other problems other than the graveyard hate causing it. Like, as we said there with Reanimator. Reanimator's got many problems. The threats and the reanimation suite is not it at the moment, causing a lot of problems.
Yeah, it's a tough one to solve as well, because as soon as you print a better reanimation spell than Exhume, like, it just goes in decks that aren't Reanimator.
Yeah.
As you say, like, a lot of decks just use the graveyard. So it would just end up in, like, stuff that cycles Generous Sense and Trolls.
Yep. For sure. But then also on that same side, like, obviously Dredge used to run Exhume, now hasn't in recent history, because that's sort of the threats of being power crept. Like, everyone's cycling, everyone's putting stuff in the bin. It's more a threat, like, it more goes against you than it does anything else. But yeah, interesting thought for sure. Again, if you are interested in submitting Pauper Thoughts of the Week, you can in the Discord if you join them, and there is a tab to write them up. Always happy to discuss them and talk them, even if you don't want them mentioned on the podcast. We can talk them through the Discord, of course, always. So, always sweet. And thank you, Give, did I say? For the Pauper Thought.
Are we entering them into the player point giveaway?
Yes.
Or camera credit giveaway as well, like the hot takes?
Which is a great tangent. We will enter them into the giveaway. So that is another way to get entered. And do not forget that we do have giveaways. I also we'll be putting up a giveaway probably this week in the Discord for people to win a PlayPoint code thing. There's also a giveaway on my Twitter as well. So there's a lot of chances, as well as this joining the hot takes and the Pauper Thoughts. The next draw will be end of September, I believe, because we only did it, was it last week? Everything's blending one, yes. It was only last week that we did the giveaway, so it'll be about end of September. So yeah, if you do want to obviously submit hot takes or Pauper Thoughts, happily listen to them to hear them and get entered. Moving on to some tournament news. There is only 2 that we have seen in the Discord. And one of them, the first one is on the 25th of October in Leipzig, which is a 128 player cap Pauper event. It's going to be Germany's biggest Pauper tournament, seeming to be like parallel to what is like UK Pauper Nationals. This will be held at Corn Island and will be €20. The event link is in the description, so please check that out if you're in and around the area, of course. And then the next one is a little closer to home. Still not that close, but still. September the 20th for us in Labryrinthe, Chislehurst. I'll get that name right eventually, maybe. Is a 60-player Pauper event. The link is in the description, and it is going to be sweet. I've been told that town's pretty banging. has some cool caves and all sorts of stuff to see. So if anyone wants to make a weekend of it, there you go. Go see some caves. There's no labyrinths in Labyrinth. It'd be pretty sad.
I was more debating how cheap a flight from Newcastle to Leipzig would be.
I imagine it'd be pretty alright. So that'd be pretty cool. Both of those events would be pretty sweet. Obviously, it'd be great to hear from how the... I'm just going to dub it here, German Nationals. Just for my memory. That's how my brain works. I hope it goes absolutely insane, and I hope it pops off, because I know they've been doing really well. The Pauper of the People, or Pauper to the People, has been absolutely popping off this year, so it'd be great to get the payoff and see that 128 player cap. So if you are even considering or close or whatever, please check the event link in the description, and be great to see you there. That's it. Hear about you, seeing you there. Because we won't be there, obviously. Anyways, guys, moving on to the challenges. We have 3 challenges to cover, and they are pretty spicy, I would say.
Yeah. They're all pretty small as well, though. Like, they're all on sort of the lower end from what we've been seeing recently.
Yeah.
But they're very mixed.
I think we were sort of talking off the... I think there was 2 showcasey things for other formats to get enter mocks, maybe, and that might fit it. Because I think there were like 2 ones that probably grinders don't often play. Like, one was like limited, I think. And then the other one will be like a format that probably not like Pioneer or Modern or Legacy or Vintage or whatever where people play it. I think it was like standard. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was like, these are events that the grinders cannot double queue because they don't know half the cards, maybe. I don't know. Not a clue.
They didn't have the Cauldrons and Vivies to be able to play standard.
Or that.
Anyway, so the first challenge is the Friday challenge, which was on the 22nd of August. 46 players. First place was Mono Red Madness. Second place was Red Black Madness. Third place was Mono Red Madness. So a very madness top 3. Fourth place was Elves. Fifth was Blue Black Fair. Sixth was Mono Black Sack. Seventh and eighth were both copies of Mono Blue Terror. And then the 2 near misses, our Discord regular Martha Boy on Dredge in 9th. And Spock on Blue Red Scred in 10th. Quite a lot, really, to look at with this top 10. Even the is it this one? Yeah, the Elves list was the first thing I wanted to sort of start on. I guess the Madness lists, the sort of what you would expect. The Red Black is the non-galvanic blast Madness. And the 2 mono red lists are essentially stock lists. One's got 1 less looting in, but nothing exciting there. But the Elves list has 2 copies of Harsh Sustenance in the main, which is a card I have not seen in Elves for a long, long time. It's 1 white-black for an instant, and it deals X damage to target creature or player, and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures you control. So it's sort of just like a fireball for Elves. Obviously, with it being black-white, that means they're on the multicolored elf list with Jespera Sentinels and Birchlaw Rangers, as opposed to the mono-green version that we've seen more recently. And then more to capitalise on that extra colour producing ability. There's 2 distant melodies to add to the 8 Wide and Away, Lead the Stampede type effects.
I have... Yeah. Sure. I do like Harsh Sustenance. Pretty sweet. I don't know if I'll main deck it, right? Seems like an
yeah, it used to be a sort of more of a sideboard card, but...
Which I'm not against. Like, I think it's fine. Like, obviously, if you can go wide enough and, you know, even as a 3-mana removal spell, I am not against it. Like, if it's going to hit for 3 or 4 or whatever, and, you know, that's fine. Kills a gut snipe, gains 3 life, sort of thing. Like, I'm not against the too much. I still just dislike Distant Melody in these decks nowadays. So dislike it. Like, when I see Distant Melody, I just look, oh, look, there's that card that makes your Lead the Stampede worse. That's all I see.
Yeah. I think especially with the Harsh Sustenance in the main as well, you've now got 8 cards that require you to have a reasonable sized board to actually be doing anything. Or a reasonable sized board and a way to produce at least 1 sometimes 2 different colours of mana. Yeah, it's a tough one. And then obviously you've got the 4 leads, 4 winding ways that then miss on those other 4 cards. They have, though, as well added Nettle Sentinels into the main again, which obviously works wonders with Birchlaw Rangers and Jesper Sentinels for producing. Like, if you need black and white, you can obviously tap your Nettle Sentinel for mana, use a Forest to play guy, untap it and tap it again, with the Birchlaws and stuff like that. Yeah, interesting take. Also, 2 Essence Wardens instead of any Well-Wishers in the main.
I think that it's nice with Essence Warden, to be fair, to be able to obviously gain some amount of life straight away. Like, not obviously have it tap and all that sort of stuff, which is pretty nice. Especially against decks that are going to go wide, like Rally Red. I think for me, like, it probably is for, like, Rally Red. It doesn't really matter against Madness, right? Because they're going to kill it regardless. They have infinite ways to kill all your guys. So I wouldn't be surprised if that matters too much. And they don't play many creatures, so you're not going to, like, from their side, you're not going to gain much life. Where Rally Red doesn't run that much removal compared to Madness, but then also has loads of guys.
Yeah. The one sort of advantage over the mono green version that it does have against stuff like Madness in particular is you've got Jesper Sentinels and Nettle Sentinels, as well as Timber Watches, that all have more than 1 toughness, basically. So it makes the lava darts sort of a bit less efficient. It lets you, like, maybe keep a guy or 2 on board for a few turns longer, which is always quite a boon against that deck.
Yeah. It is a funny one, though, right? Because they're running now more X2s, but then the X1s that you want to stay alive, like, you can't go bait this, bait this, bait this, this resolves sort of thing, because a lot of your stuff can't do that because they're not going to die. If you know what I mean? Like, your Nettle Sentinels or Jasper Sentinels are, like, not likely to die with certain removal spells. So it's like that way, like, you can't go, here's a bunch of dudes, try and kill them, and then I go Priest of Titania for, like, 2 or 3 or whatever. You kind of can't do that because they'll end up with a lava dart in the graveyard that can't kill a Jasper Sentinel, if you know what I mean. But it does work out that you end up keeping the Jasper Sentinel in play, but then your Priest or whatever can't stay around because it's going to get the dart that can't get the Jasper Sentinel, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But the Sentinel's probably more important as well in that matchup because it gives you access to the Harsh Sustenance, maybe to gain life, and then obviously the blue Elemental Blast and stuff after board.
Yeah, for sure.
The board is not really utilising the multicolour ability of this deck very much. There's 5 blue Elemental / Hydroblasts and 3 negates, and then just 4 Mass Vandals, a Hydra, and 2 more Essence Wardens. So just very blue-green sideboard.
Pretty interesting, to be fair. Usually you see things like Standard Bearer and such in there. Or,
yeah.
But nothing.
Or Harsh Sustenance.
But yeah, pretty sweet take on it, to be fair. I can get behind everything bar the Distant Melodies at this point. I think that card people need to accept that card's been and gone. It's had its time.
The next deck that I wanted to touch on was the 6th place Weber's Mono Black Sack list, which is sick. It's sick to see, obviously, Weber top 8 in PFP representing, and is also playing the Perigee Beckoner, which is the new card from EOE, as a 4 of as well, which is something I'm pretty high on. Like, I tested the card and it just seems bananas in this deck.
I think to be fair, again, another thing we've said about EOE cards, as much as it's quite easy to go in this deck, I don't think, like, for, like, say, Strata Games' list, that's a bit, like, here and there.
All over the place.
Yeah. I don't think it just slots straight into it. Like, no. I think even things like, to me, before Beckoner, like, Shambler was sort of like the flex slot of sack guys. But with Beckoner, I feel like Shambler's now the best one. Especially having, like, 7 to 8 stamina effects. Like, obviously, pumps up its power, so you're making a bunch of guys, even if you're not doubling all that sort of stuff. Like, I think easily becomes the best one. Then you've got like Shambling Ghast, which then gets a new look in because it ramps you. It also gets to kill bigger guys because of the Beckoner interaction and stuff. I think it's really good in this deck, and has a space. I just don't think it's not like free to just slot into an existing one. You do have to build around. And I think it also shows here with what Weber's trying, with 2 Dark Rituals in the main, as a way to sort of like speed out stuff. Like you can literally go like Shambler this and someone else. Do you know what I mean? Like you can, on turn 2, get something, get value, sack something, make a bunch of squirrels, all that sort of stuff, and speed your game plan.
I actually think the Beckoner as well gives a bit more life to Dark Ritual. Like, we've seen Dark Ritual in these sack lists before, and it's basically, I play it on turn 1, I play 2 or 3 guys, and then I hope to never draw Dark Ritual again, because if I do, I'll have nothing in my hand, and it'll be pointless. But now you've got the Beckoners. If you draw late Dark Ritual, it could just allow you to then hard cast it from exile, which is still pretty good because it lets you get that supernatural stamina effect again, and you just have a 4/5 or whatever it is. Is a 4/5, right?
5 mana 4/5, yeah.
So yeah, it's sort of, as much as I haven't liked Dark Ritual in this list previously, the Beckoner does seem to give a bit of extra legs to it.
Yeah, and I'm definitely a big fan of it, to be honest. And I do think, I know Weber's been working on it for at least this week anyways, because I know he's been tweeting about it quite a lot, about trying Dark Ritual and stuff in this list. And I think it shows like their knowledge of the format and their understanding of obviously these cards interaction. Like, I think it's really good to keep trying this, and the fact that they got the 6th place definitely shows. It's pretty sweet.
Numbers wise, this list is again pretty all over the place, I guess, to try and fit everything in. There's 7 of the Village Rites effects, 3 Supernatural Staminas, and 2 Dark Rituals as the instance. There's a single Rite of Consumption as the only sorcery in the main. And then creature-wise, they've managed to fit in 2 Accursed Marauders to the main. And basically trimmed on, there's only 3 Bloodthorn Vampires, 3 Infestation Sages, and 3 Line Breakers, and 3 Shambling Ghasts. Obviously, 4 Nested Shamblers, as Teasdale said, it's basically the best one once you're going down the Beckoner stamina route. And then a single Mezfiend has also squeezed in there somehow.
Yeah, I would assume that if Weber was to play this again, I imagine the lists would look probably more refined, especially even in the space of the 1 mana die do stuff cards.
Yeah.
It just looks like they've went Shambler's the best one.
Yeah,
3-3-3-3, which is fine. They obviously, it's not the worst case to be, but I imagine that would definitely show up if they were to play this again. But pretty sweet.
I actually think probably the Ghast is maybe not really needed. If you've already got Dark Rituals in, and then you're trying to do this all Supernatural Stamina Beckoner thing, which the Ghast doesn't really do very well because it doesn't add to your plan. Like, doesn't make extra guys for your sack, so it doesn't go as nuts as the others. I wouldn't be surprised if that sort of gets trimmed down to more Line Breakers, more Sages.
Yeah, it does also say, it seems like a strange one, right? It also, like, I guess works with a Curse Marauder, lens, like, I would say Wildfire. Like, helps clean up the refurbs to make a Curse Marauder kill the Writhing Chrysalis sort of thing is probably the only thing I can see as a positive for it. But I do agree, generally it doesn't really add to your plan. It's like literally making a treasure most of the time, probably.
Yeah. Especially now that there's no like Kuldothers. Like Rally Red's obviously there, but it's just not performing as much in challenges.
Pretty sweet.
And then really the final list, I guess, to talk about, the 2 terrors are just pretty box standard terrors. One of them's playing boomerangs, which we haven't seen in a while, but other than that, there's sort of nothing really to talk about there. But Marza Boy's dredge list is definitely a spicy one.
Did we expect anything less?
As I guess we'll see in the other challenges, because he does make an appearance there as well.
Spoilers.
But essentially, it's a development on their holdout settlement list. but gone even deeper into the Colony Garden being good mana base by cutting Troll of Khazad-dûm in favour of just more 2-mana mill get a land guys. Obviously, you've cut the Troll, so there's no need for swamp type lands to search because you can't really find them. So it's full on 4 holdout settlements, 4 Colony Gardens, 4 Thrive and Moors, which is the gate before it was a gate, and then 5 forests as the mana base.
It's pretty sweet. I really like this take. Obviously, the big pull, which they've spoke about before in their videos of Colony Garden, they've said, like, in the videos when they were trying it out, Colony Garden seems like the best card in the deck, and they wanted to try and find a way to play 4. So I'm not really surprised that... Well, I am surprised, because every time I see Mazaboy's Dredge decks, they always surprise me. But I'm not surprised that they've tried to break it as much as they can. But all these Rumbles, say, Wayfinders, Town Greeter effects, all grabbing Colony Garden is massively, like, it's crazy how powerful. I know it sounds really silly, but every deck now just seems to be Colony Gardens helps. Like,
yeah.
I think it's all, is it this list in 13th? Yeah, because even slightly touching on the 13th place, Hamuda played Mogwarts and played 3 Colony Gardens in the deck because, well, why wouldn't you? And it's just crazy to see how powerful of a land Colony Garden is.
Yeah, I think in the Mazaboy list in particular, obviously, on turn 1 in Dredge, you're not doing anything, so it doesn't cost you anything to play turn 1. But the big get from it is, like Teasdale was saying, all the 2-mana grab a land guys are now 2 creatures, essentially. Yeah. So the fill in your graveyard to speed you up to get a Dread Return on a Lotleth Giant, but also they're now speeding up the Dread Return because they're not just 1 guy anymore, they're 2 guys, which is pretty huge, especially if you're trying to do multiple Dread Returns, which can sometimes be quite awkward for this deck. Like, often you'll end up with like 4 guys or 5 guys. Just having your lands also make guys to fill that hole seems really good. Yeah,
and also, as you say, double Dread Returning can be quite difficult when, depending on your hand, because you are restricted to how many 2-mana guys you can play, and you can often end up with, as you say, a giant or 2 trolls stuck in your hand, and you're like, right, okay, I've got most of my land types that I can get, and I'm like, I've now just got a bunch of land cyclers, and like 1 guy. But as you say, like, this is literally just guy, grab a land, which is a guy, and then the next turn you can follow that up and very easily, which also then stems from what they were trying in the sideboard with the Momentary Blink, or what they've tried previously to speed up the Lotleth Giant kill. Like, this is literally just, I'm going to keep getting guys, and my guys are going to then double Dread Return. Even if one's for 9 and then the other one's for 11, it's easily enough going to kill them in turn 4, turn 5. It just speeds up the deck, naturally having Colony Garden in, which is incredibly strong.
It is a sweet one. Yeah. I guess the only other thing to note is the 4 trolls went, but there's also 1 Ent gone from this list, so there's only 3 Ents as the cyclers. And the Ents now can basically only find forests. They can't find a dual land anymore, so it can't really fix your mana. But you're playing that many 2-mana get a land guys, you should hopefully be able to find one of your 4 holdout settlements or Thrive and Moors fairly quickly. And I guess holdout settlement is also a untapped colour source as well in that. So it's sort of a conduit pylons without the tax of needing to filter.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. The sideboard's pretty... I would say it's as normal as Mazaboy's Dredge lists are getting nowadays, to be fair. Playing Coffin Purge and Ancient Grudges, 2 4-ofs. And then they play 3 Death Sparks, which is a very strange card, as always. Graveyard Order matters when you play this card, which is a red, deal 1 damage to target creature or player, and at the end of your upkeep, if Death Spark is in your graveyard with a creature card directly above it, you may pay 1, and if you do, return it to your hand. So it's a good way of, obviously, recursively... Is it like Flame Jab? Is that the card I'm thinking of? Sort of a way to just go boo, boo, boo on loads of X ones. But being an instant is pretty cool.
I guess the 4 Coffin Purge is quite telling as well of what the format's like at the moment.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need to get rid of one card, then it's the lot left giant. The other sideboard slots are sort of up in the air, which we'll find out later on. There is 3 momentary blinks, which is a ephemerate for 1 in the blue, and then that's flashback 3 in the blue. Again, another sort of way that how this deck started, right, as a momentary blink holdout settlement pile originally. And it was a way for them to sort of speed up the lot left giant kill, was the idea behind it. Which is, it still might be a good sideboard strategy against the like non-interactive decks for sure. I'm still a big lover of the Tainted Strike though.
Yeah, I guess the Tainted Strike is better on exactly lot left giant.
Yeah.
But the momentary blink gives you the ability, like if you mill it, you can still get access to it later, and you can basically cast it on anything in your deck. Like basically everything has an ETB, right? Except Stinkweed Imp, I think. Yeah. So it sort of seems worth the extra cost, although it does look very strange in the green-black sideboard.
And then a Raven's Crime as well in there, which seems to be picking up quite a bit, to be fair. I've seen a lot of people pick up a Raven's Crime now and then. Seems pretty good right now. But yeah, very sweet list.
And any other decks you want to touch on from this top 10?
There's nothing...
Or from this challenge?
Nothing too crazy. I just want to shout out Bath in 5th place. Obviously, picking up Blue-Black Fair, which sort of hasn't really sort of seen play lately. Oh my god, what is that Ninja the Deep Hours art? But yeah, Blue-Black Fair's not really seen play. Obviously, we've seen Blue-Red pick up from Brivinex the past few weeks. So I wouldn't be surprised if that sort of is the reason for the comeback. Always a solid deck, nothing too out the ordinary, like very Bako sort of style list with the 3 Fairy Seers and, you know, basically just a mid-range deck with the Augurs and the Ninjas and stuff. But sweet to see another iteration of Fair making a comeback. So I would put it. I do also want to shout out Hamudra as well in 13th. Just in case I haven't touched on that. They were playing Mogwarts and they were playing Colony Gardens and Rakdos Carnariums with little Clan and Toxin sort of package. I did ask them how they felt about the deck, and they said it felt meh. They clicked the wrong deck to enter the challenge, and that's why they were playing Mogwarts. So there you go.
To fill you with confidence.
Fills me full of confidence. Well, there you
go. Moving on then to the Saturday challenge, Saturday the 23rd, 38 players. First place, returning to first place once again after many, many times. Mono Blue Terror, piloted by Discovery. Second place, Grix Affinity. Third place, Blue Black Terror. Fourth place, High Tide. Fifth place, Flickertron. Sixth place, Red Black Madness. Seventh place, Jund Wildfire. And eighth place, Ponza. And then the 2 near misses. Ninth is Mono Blue Terror. And once again, just out of the top 8 is Marzaboy on his dredge list.
With small changes.
Would you like to start there, I guess?
We will start on Marzaboy's micro changes. As Reese mentioned earlier, talking about the Genersense, there was 3 of those. The changes there is now 4 of those and 3 Blanchwood Prowlers. Marzaboy has expressed his dislike for that card. So
what, Prowler?
Yeah, Prowler. So
because it only mills 3.
Yeah. Which I guess when you're used to every card milling 4+, I imagine Prowler looks pretty poor. That was the only change, I believe, in the main deck.
Yeah.
And then the sideboard was the 3 momentary blinks and the Raven's Crime from the Friday list were cut, and they play 4 Gilded Light as
basically for High Tide.
Yep.
I think it's sort of they're both sort of trying to fill the same role. Like the Raven's Crime is obviously a decent card against High Tide.
Yep.
And the momentary blink as well, just because it speeds you up. Like you can lot left giant a lot earlier and then blink it. I'm assuming was another basically attempt to have a high tide answer that sort of works in other matchups as well. I'm guessing that didn't work out too well, hence the switch to 4 Gilded Lights here is just a hard answer to high tide.
Yeah, and I'm assuming by Sunday that the Gilded Lights didn't work either, but we'll get onto that as well. But yeah, pretty sweet that trying iterating. I do find it interesting, obviously, they were on 15 lands originally, 14 lands was dredged normally. But obviously with the less land cyclers, they're now up on lands, and which then all this whole deck really intrigues me on how low of a land count you can run, and all that sort in normal decks, not necessarily spy, but yeah, it's pretty interesting to see it in dredge for sure.
Another green-based deck to mention that is in the top 8 is Ixodor's 8th place Ponza list, which is literally just proper old school Ponza with denied Altasaurs and boredom parties and Invention Hunters in, which is really cool to see that it can still just compete at the highest level.
I feel like whenever Ixodor top 8 a challenge, it's always 8th, and they're always on Ponza. Every time. They just like to cast Thermocast and Acid Moss, ruin people's day, and come 8th, which is not a bad achievement at all. And it's always it's there and thereabouts with this, right? It's always got old schooly sort of love. It's Altasaur, Boredom Pie, sometimes Ents, sometimes not. Always with the wooded ridge line. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. The sideboard even isn't too out of the ordinary. There's a bunch of Weather Storms, a bunch of Deglammers, some Breath Weapons, some Relics, and then a Singleton Campfire, which I guess is the strangest inclusion.
Yeah.
Other than that, the other decks in the top 8 are just sort of fairly straightforward. Discover End's Terror List is basically still the exact same, continues unchanged. Luffy's list in second in Grixis Affinity is, again, basically his old list, and then he's put one Cryogen Relic in because he's now got 61 cards.
I think, obviously...
Not really sure what I think about that.
Obviously, when Cryogen Relic came out in 5-0 with a Yorion version, I say Yorion, it literally just ran 80 cards, and they called it Yorion Affinity. Maybe it's the opposite. It's Hunger Games for his deck. It's which cards compete, and right now the one Cryogen Relic's competing for that 63rd card. It's can you make it? Do you deserve to be in this deck? It's working it to the bone. It's very strange.
Yeah, but other than that, it's sort of just basically unchanged as what it was before AoE. So just the 3 Black Mage Rod build with his one-off blowgun that he loves so much.
On stuff like those fairies.
Yeah. I guess the third place as well is sort of interesting to see Blue Black Terror sort of back again, the full committed to the Blue Black Terror of just 4 Terrors, 4 Gurmag Anglers as your creatures. No thorns or anything in there.
Yeah. I don't understand why, I don't understand why nothing else. There's no...
no Snackers, no Modern Ages.
What's the other card? Murmur Mystic as well. There's no Murmur Mystic in there, no Mystic in the side either. So it's very committed. They are running 4 Disrupts, which is pretty cool. Seems to be picking up a lot as well. People realised Abjure is good, so they're we'll try Disrupt. Same card, right?
I guess, to be fair, at the moment, there's so many instant or sorceries flying about in basically every deck. It's sort of worth a slight downgrade on spell base, but you get cards out of it. Yeah, it's a cool one.
And they only need to see 1, to be fair. See 1 and they're playing around it for the rest of the game. Similar to Force Spike. And worst case scenario, it doesn't feel as bad as Force Spike, right? Because you're always getting a card. Pretty sweet. Nothing to... the sideboards always baffle me with blue-black decks. I think it must be something to do with blue-black players. They just like access to random cards, and there's I'll have 1, just in case...
Well, they all still think they're playing Teachings.
Is that what it is?
Even though there's no Teachings. Yeah, one Shrivel, one Steel Sab, one Fangs, one Annul. One Annul. One Arms of Hadar as well.
Like, surely between, like, for example, Steel Sabotage and Annul, clearly, like, the metagame's shifted in a way that one's better than the other. Like, surely we must have that answer by now.
But also, I just feel like, why would you only want two? Even if you're, like, committed to one, would you just have two of it? Like, it doesn't seem like a very two card.
No, it doesn't.
Like, the Mono Blue Terra sideboard, for example, is just four Annul, and then one Steel Sab as, like, the extra Annul. Yeah, it's a weird one. Because I guess you've got the Annul as like a Bogles out, but then you've also got the Extractor Confessions as that as well. I don't know. It's very, very strange.
Very, very strange. But I don't get it. I don't get the logic behind it. Also, they have a bog as well.
Yeah.
They have a bog that they have no way of finding, nothing. They're just like, here's a bog. So they've went from usually between 5 and 6 tap lands to 7, because they're running 4 Aquifers, 2 Ice Tunnels, and then a bog. Seems very odd. Just in case.
Yeah. And then the only other real standout to me from this top 10 was the 5th place Flickertron list. It's a pretty cool one. Still got Muldrifters in, not super hard committed to the Cryogen Relic only plan, but there is only 2 Muldrifters now. So he's going that way, and 3 Cryogen Relics. Full 4 Energy Refractors, and then full 4 Prophetic Prisms as well.
Makes sense utilising 3 Ghostly Flickers there as well. Like 3 Relics, 4 Refractors, 4 Prisms. Like you can easily just cash in a Flicker there and just be a instant speed divination. Is it called Quick Study? Is that the name of the card?
Yeah. 1 Ephemera, which is interesting. Obviously, the ones we've seen previously just completely cut Ephemerate, but if you're going back on the Muldrifter plan, sort of Ephemerate gets a bit better. Other than that, like standout-wise, Wincon, there's the one of Mesidian Elder that seems to be coming a mainstay in this deck. Still on one of Murmur Mystic as well, just in case you need to build a board up, I guess, rather than pinging them to death.
Yeah. I think a lot of people obviously do. I think generally, I would like to say that probably Mystic's standalone is probably the better of the two, right? Obviously, it stabilizes the board, but Mesidian Elder just kills so fast. It just kills so much faster. No nonsense as well. Like, even if you're just floating on by, not doing anything, even if you've played it just randomly, my 1/3 is going to block, your O1 will just slowly kill them to death just while you're flickering a Cryogen Relic and a Mnemonic Wall. Like 17 turns before you would actually kill them.
Yeah, I think obviously the scalability of it's like just bananas compared to Mystic as well, isn't it? Like
definitely.
You just flicker it, and then your flicker now does 2 damage every time, and then you flicker it and it now does 3 damage every time you cast spell and stuff like that. It scales so fast. Which
I think is probably, to me, the main reason to still run 1 Ephemerate, right? Like, Mesidian Elder and Ephemerate, just with 1 Mnemonic Wall, just scales incredibly fast on its own. But other than that, I do agree, like, Ephemerate's definitely, which I never thought I'd really say, but Ephemerate's looking like it's sort of the worst flicker out of them all.
Yeah, definitely. Sideboard-wise, sort of nothing massively stand out. There's a 1 of Remove Soul, which should probably be the Lord of the Rings one, because you've got creatures.
Yep.
But other than that, there's just the expected Envelops, Hydroblasts, Pyroblasts, an extra Dignitary, and a random 1 of Ancient Grudge, just in case you need a 1 of Ancient Grudge to Teachings for. And a second Pulse of Marasa as well.
Yeah, I think the Ancient Grudge is an odd one. Like, obviously, you've got Heritage Reclamation in the deck anyways.
Yeah.
I don't see why you would need an Ancient Grudge when you could probably just get another Heritage Reclamation. Like, why would you run that over Heritage Reclamation anyways in the sideboard if you want another of those effects? In case you need to kill 2 spell bombs or something, I don't know. But, yeah, I do agree. The Remove Soul, people need to start playing this. Is a Glorious Gale, is that the name of the card? The Lord of the Rings one or whatever it's called?
I think so. It's the Galadriel one, isn't it? Yeah.
So, people need to realise quickly, start playing that before Spider-Man comes out so it doesn't look odd. Because it's going to matter.
It's not irrelevant either because it obviously makes your Muldrifters unblockable, right? Or can't be blocked with Power Greater. Is that what the ring temp she does?
I think so, but does it only... it's only if it was legendary it tempts you.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's not irrelevant. And it makes it uncast-downable. It makes it legendary and have that feary thing from power. Like a blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not irrelevant at all. And it'll be more relevant when everyone needs to counter their Spider-Men. So, play the glory skill, people. Come on. Anything else you want to touch on?
No, I'm happy to move on to Sunday.
I just want to mention the Dark Withering in the 6th place Madness sideboard. It's not out there. The decks aren't out there, but obviously they're playing 3 copies of Dark Withering, which is not a normal card that they play, which is a 6-mana instant. 4 and black, and it's destroy target non-black creature, and it's got Madness, a black. So it's a removal spell for something that's too big. Probably something like Chrysalis, I would say.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
Which is not the end of the world. Pretty sweet and interesting sort of like tech. I can't really imagine it's for anything else that I can think of. Like I don't think you'd have a dedicated card for something like Madness, for example. Like to kill Gutter Snipe or whatever.
I guess it gives you some pretty good outs to like Overgrown Battlements in the Spire Walls deck. Because otherwise you're on like Lightning Bolt, Fiery Temper, aren't you? It just doesn't combine well.
That's a fair one, yeah. Overgrown Battlements is a good shout. But yeah, cool tech. And cool to see like the different iterations. Different cards for other stuff. But yeah, that was it.
Moving on to the Sunday the 24th of August. Only 60 players, so quite a bit smaller than we have been seeing. First place was High Tide. Second place was Jund Wildfire. Third place was Gardens. Fourth place was Spy Elves. Fifth was Bogles. Sixth was Grix Affinity. Seventh was Jund Wildfire. And eighth, making it into the top 8 this time, Marsa Boy on Dredge. And then the 2 near misses, 9th on Rally Red, Weber, representing once again for the PFP, and 10th Green Black Fog. A very spicy Sunday, and there's probably a lot to get into, but I assume you'd like to start with Spy Elves.
Do we start on it or do we finish on it? I think we finish on it. Let's build the hype. Build the hype.
The first deck then that I wanted to touch on was the first place High Tide, which is a very interesting High Tide list. It's got 2 Lotus Petals in, just in case you need to go faster. There's a 1 of Words of Wisdom, which is a 2-mana instant where you draw 2 cards, then each other player draws a card. Which is one from like old school like Legacy High Tide used to play it. I think Reset High Tide used to play it as well. 2 Disrupts in the main as a bit of extra interaction, and then 1 Petals, so you've actually got the hard combo in the deck as well.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things to think about with this deck, right? Obviously, the Disrupts I don't hate, because they're not only... So say if you are playing it in your combo and off, you will likely have a mana spare to pay for the spell if you need it to resolve. If you don't need it to resolve, you can just like get countered anyways.
It's essentially got 2 mana cycling, hasn't it, in this deck?
And then, as you say, it is just a 4 spike. So, but it draws a card, which is always good for a combo deck. The Petals don't really make sense to me. Like, I get you want to try and go faster, but you're not at the same time because you... I don't know, it just seems odd.
It's also 61 cards as well. I should probably throw that out there.
Yeah, which... I'm at this point where like Pauper just jams 60 cards in random decks. It's totally crazy. But
I guess the Petals give you the outs to like turn 2 a lot easier, I guess, because you can High Tide off a Petal and have 2 untapped islands.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you want to be trying to do that. But you can.
You can. Yeah. I could be wrong on this, but my understanding is that the Words of Wisdom is a way to beat Campfire in the main. Because of the shuffle. because if they, you
All right,
can basically
sort of like the deep analysis type.
yeah, but because because the things are deep analysis is sorcery, you can't respond to them shuffling, which I guess is interesting. I guess, but
I guess it makes sort of more sense on Magic Online because if the campfire normally you just continue a combo off and mill them again because they've shuffled the deck back in, but now they don't have a campfire.
Yeah.
But I guess for Magic Online you'd save a lot of time by just Words of Wisdom them.
Yeah. So that is my understanding, but nobody quote me on that. The one thing that I do...
Then they can just play around it though, right? Once they know about it, because they just wait till you've milled them to the last one to go off to put them to 0, and then they just shuffle in response to the last one.
Yeah, most likely. But I don't know how good or bad that is at all. Like, again, it's not a card that you can obviously use in your graveyard either, like Deep Analysis is. So it is an odd one. But again, this
is very cheap to cast though, only 2 mana.
Yeah, definitely. The other thing for me, which seems to be, I don't know if it's become a mainstay or is getting there, is for Hidden Strings. Is something I'm definitely a big fan of.
Yeah, I definitely think it's mainstay now, like in the high tide list.
So it's pretty sweet. Always do like the ramping of Hidden Strings. No, and the 2 orgs in the side to cipher from it. Don't forget that. Relevant ability. Anything else on this list? Because I don't think anything super stands out, but no Giga Drows in the main as well.
Yeah, the sideboard's sort of fairly standard. There's nothing too spicy. But yeah, 61 cards, Lotus Petals. Words of Wisdom is cool to see from high tide.
Always cool to see developments, right? It's not a different way to combo. Like, it's not like a new type of high tide deck, like high tide fams or whatever. But it is a cool take on the existing arcane one. So it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I guess going on from that point of not new but cool takes on existing decks, the 5th place Bogles has 2 copies of Auronalid in the main. Which is a card I have not seen in Bogles for years.
Seems to be a running theme for this episode, right? Is things I haven't seen for years.
Yeah.
Going to come back.
For anyone who hasn't seen Auronalid, because it's a card from Brazi the Eldrazi that hasn't been played in a long time. It's a 2 and a green for a 2/2 beast. Creatures with power less than it can't block it, so it has built-in evasion. And it gets +1/+1 for each aura on the battlefield. It's sort of like Mask in the way that it counts your opponent's enchantments as well. And it also counts all the stuff on your lands and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a cool one. You don't have to commit to loading it up. It's just essentially a threat by itself. If you've got a couple of Utopia Sprawls or Abundant Growths on your lands, it's just like a 3 mana 4/4 or 5/5 that can't be blocked by little guys, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet as well. Like, if you get to a point of not having a trample enchantment, for example, on your other guy, and you can play this out, and it's just a big guy that now your other stuff can't block.
Yeah.
Their stuff can't block, I should say. Which is pretty sweet.
It's basically come at the cost of 1 Ledgewalker and 1 enchantment. 1 mana enchantment, like a Sentinel's Eyes or a Spirit Link or something in that sort of flex slot. The other sort of interesting thing to go along with the Rise of Eldrazi cards make an appearance in Boggle. There's 2 Hyena Umbras in the main as well instead of the Cartouches. Obviously works really well on Auronalid because then the removal that will kill it now doesn't.
It's definitely I think it's definitely a necessity, as you say, if you're playing Auronalid as well. And given the first strike off that Cartouche normally would, it's still pretty good too. Yeah, pretty sweet.
I'd be interested to know if Spider Umbra? It's the green one.
Yeah, the one that gives reach.
Is maybe a better choice than Hyena Umbra. Like, you swap first strike for reach, but first strike isn't particularly relevant anyway in Bogles. Where reach can be quite relevant, and it's a green enchantment, so it's a lot easier for you to cast than the white enchantments.
Yeah. That's an interesting thought, to be fair. Because reach is definitely an easy way to lose the game, for sure.
Yeah.
Without reach, sorry, it's an easy way to lose the game.
It sort of gives you an out against, like, I don't know, random familiars and stuff like that.
Yeah, like they lose like a, like for say Jund Wildfire, for example, loses, I'm going to block with a bunch of spawns and then I'm going to refurb you to death. That sort of game plan, or Fairies can do the same sort of thing. So, pretty interesting.
Yeah. Sideboard wise, it's sort of pretty standard Bogles. It's got the red splash for Flare and Pain and 3 Pyroblasts. But then other than that, it's just your Fairy Macabres that you see in most decks now. Mask of Lauren Grace, a lifelink, which, one lifelink. 1 Ramproo and 3 Standard Bearers.
They used up all the spice in the main deck. Couldn't put any more on the side.
Yeah, I like this list. I like going back to Oranali does it out. I'm debating whether it should even run Ledgewalkers. It should maybe just cut the 2 Ledgewalkers and put another Oranali and something else in.
Yeah, I could do that.
Got full old school mode.
And then change the Hyena Umbras for the Reacher. That's it. Job sorted.
I'm not convinced on that, but it's sort of an interesting thought.
The argument makes sense, to be fair, as you say. Like, First Strike doesn't matter too much, especially when it's a lot harder to get your guy cheesed to death early. Like, obviously, the worst thing is probably Writhing Chrysalis, maybe, or 2 Writhing Chrysalis sort of double block him where they can't. He's probably the only thing that I could see coming up, because, like, a big creature isn't really coming down early enough, other than that.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see that. And then the big pull, which obviously a lot of people do forget, is you are essentially a green deck splashing a bunch of white cards to cast 2 of them, say. I know that's good enough. So the less white enchantments you have, the better. Yeah, it does make sense. It is an interesting thought for sure.
Moving on to Marza Boys, 8th place. Dredge list, it is basically the same as the Friday list, right? I think there's 1 less Coffin Verge in the side and 1 more Momentary Blink. No Gilded Lights. They were just a Saturday only spice, I guess.
Didn't work out. Like, maybe Momentary Blink's better, so let's try that out. But yeah, they did like the main deck change, right? They like the Generous and the Prowler change.
Yeah, that has stuck.
But they didn't like the Gilded Light. Need a better card. So they decided to 4-mana Blue Flicker would be the best one.
And then I guess finally, before moving on to the Spy Elves, Weber, once again, repping in 9th. This time on Rally Red, so another aggro deck, but cool to see. It's sort of fairly stock Rally Red. It's got a 1-off Gingerbrute and a 1-off Chain Lightning as like the flex slots. Other than that, just fairly straightforward. Casting the Fires, Pyroblast, Rebs, Relics, and Ends in the sideboard. No Fairy Macabres, but you're going to kill them pretty fast, so maybe you don't need it.
Yeah, I could see that. And obviously, Relics is sort of fine, right? I guess it's an odd one for... Would you keep in Masked Vandal against Rally Red, knowing that they have artifacts and stuff to hit, and maybe bringing in Relic? Do you know what I mean? Like, does it really matter? Like, if they're going to take it out...
That 1/3 is also just a solid blocker against this deck, right, as well.
So, it is an interesting one. Like, I don't know the Wall Spy sort of aggro plan at all, so, like, I don't know if they would bring in take out Masked Vandal or keep it in. But I guess that matters a bit. But I think the Relics are fine enough in the other stuff that you have a problem with, right? Terror and stuff. Are we moving on to Spy Elves now? Are we there?
Go for it.
Yeah! Woo! And so Wolf777, who also top 8'd Saturday's challenge with Jund Wildfire, decided to put down the boring deck and pick up a more exciting deck, clearly. And this is Spy Elves, a deck that I am very high on and have been working quite a while on it, to be fair now. And banging my head against the wall, telling people to play it. Clearly someone decided to play it. And
it worked.
Yeah, and it worked. I do know they did try. I don't know where they get their lists from or whatever, if it was myself, if they created it or what. I do know I seen Kirby sent me a message like 2 months ago with a screenshot of against Wolf playing this deck. And they were like, this deck is trash, it's absolutely awful. But they were playing like, the screenshot had like really strange stuff. It had like Troll in there, it had a Haunted Mire in there as well. So it was like, only thing I can think of is they were playing a really weird list. But obviously they've tried this list. It doesn't look that far away from the list I'm playing at the moment. They've cut 2 1-mana elves and a Timberwatch elf for 2 more Sylvan Rangers and an Acorn Harvest. Speaking to them, they basically said that they are quite high on Acorn Harvest, so they've effectively moved that into the main deck as a way to just cheese out the Spy win, which is fair. But the deck obviously must have performed pretty well. I think they lost against, was it High Tide or something? Did they say? I think they lost against High Tide in the quarters. Which?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Which is
seems like an awkward matchup.
Yeah, it's literally just a race, right? And the High Tide list in particular seems very geared to beat racing situations, obviously with the petals and all that sort of stuff. Go maybe that little bit faster, I don't know.
They've got snaps and stuff, which are obviously quite disruptive as well against the elves part of the deck.
Yeah, for sure. The interesting thing for me, like the main deck changes are what they are, right? I don't really think they're massive amounts. They lose the speed off the normal 1-mana guys, like the Lamor Elves and the Elvish Mystic stuff, because they're only running the 4 as opposed to the 6. So you lose a lot of reliance on, the 7 as opposed to the 9, because of Elves of the Deep Shadow.
Yeah.
You lose a lot of the 1-mana just speed naturally, because the 1-mana elves are probably the real key to the deck, I find, and the big pull. Like Cerulean Gatekeeper, is it Cerulean Gatekeeper? Or Caretaker, or whatever it is, the wall in Wall Spy, doesn't net you mana, like, on its own. So it makes for really awkward turn 2s if you play a 1-mana guy, because you can't cast a 3-drop, which matters for this deck with, like, Timberwatch Elf, Lead the Stampede, getting a land, playing a 2-drop. Like, you can't go... get a land 2-drop a lot easier because of it. And to me, that's also could be an impact for like the combo matchups. It makes you less reliant on Priest of Titania in that sense, because you just got a bunch of 1-mana elves that are just making you mana, making enough mana to cast stuff, get your lands, and then spy off. But the big thing for me that I'm really excited to like see how it goes was the Avenging Hunter. I know it's only a 1-of in the sideboard, but they did say they would probably cut the Timberwatch to try a second one, as a way to sort of give a good clock that's not reliant on Spy. It also pulls a land from your deck and stuff like that. So it seems like a really interesting card to try. I've thought Initiative in general as a whole in the metagame is probably the worst it's ever been. It's a lot of flyers, like refurbs, and a lot of ways to just get through. But I think the card does a lot that it might do enough for the deck. So it's pretty interesting. I'll be interested to try that out for sure.
Wait.
The one big thing they did say is that my understanding is the basis say they said when I talked to them that it might be a better choice in a metagame that it has less madness, which I can definitely get behind, because as I've been saying, for if anyone has seen my videos, the red madness matchup is incredibly difficult to figure out. It's just so bad, like on all angles. Like you can't interact with Gutter Snipe, they kill all your guys, all that sort of stuff. So I could definitely see this has a lot of pull to it in the other matchups, because you have the secondary win con and Timberwatch Elf and Nyxborn Hydra and all the sort of elf stuff. So it's pretty sweet. I'm happy someone picked it up though. And top forward, always a bonus. Showcasing the deck. Sweet.
It's definitely a sick one.
For sure. Anything else for the Sunday challenge?
No, I'm happy to move on, unless you've got anything to say.
Play Spy Elves. Hot takes from last week?
Yeah. So the first listener hot take from last week was that Rakdos Madness would overtake Mono Red Madness next week as the deck of choice. It doesn't seem to have been the case, but it has definitely drawn a lot closer. They're both basically, there doesn't look like there's much between them right now if you want to play a red aggressive Madness deck.
Yeah. Definitely both pulls to both of them out, but they both seem like a solid deck in the metagame. Or decks. The next one was from Moist Moose, which was blue-white, or the Azorius Affinity deck that using Lux Knight Breacher is going to start to show up and do well on the online metagame, because people are bringing it in paper. But that is not the case at the moment. It's just nowhere to really be seen. Like, maybe you should check the leagues, I guess, because I know there was having a little bit where people were playing like the blue-white deck in leagues, but it definitely hasn't transitioned to challenges yet.
Yeah, it's sad really because it's a sweet one. My hot take from last week was that there will be that Mono Blue Terror would put 2 copies in every challenge top 8. I was so close. There was none on Sunday. There was 2 on Friday, so that was fine. There was 1 in first on Saturday and 1 in 9th, but also a blue-black Terror in third. But then, Sunday, everyone just forgot to play Terror for some reason.
Too busy playing Spy Elves.
Yeah, clearly.
My hot take is that there would be no Terror in next week's in the Saturday challenge, and obviously if I should just put one challenge, just any challenge, because Sunday there was no Terror. Obviously Saturday had Discover N in the top 8.
And the blue-black Terror.
And the blue-black Terror. Well, yeah. Unfortunate.
Hot takes for next week. The first listener hot take is that a 4 or 5 colour pile will win a challenge.
I'm down for this.
I'm not sure what sort of information we're going off here, but is it an interesting one? Is Flickertron a 4 to 5 colour pile?
Well, it's definitely a pile, and it runs probably 4 colours, I guess. But I do think they did specify 2 messages down that Flicker didn't count. It was too many. So
Committed to it.
I think, yeah. I am definitely all for this. Los Cantos has been playing Mardu with Cryogen Relican. Like Mardu Wildfire Synth with Cryogen Relican, so maybe someone can take that for the W. Or someone plays Gene Pollinator or something, or I don't know. That'd be pretty sweet. I'm hoping and trying to manifest this one, because we just love 4 to 5 colour piles. That's what we're here for.
Strange. Very strange.
The next one is really oddly specific. It does go into even further detail, but we're just going to leave it. This is from Finn. Is that next week, Slivers will come second in a challenge. Not third, not fourth, not even top 8, not even top 32, which again are probably a miracle in itself. But they also do furthermore go into detail, which we won't really count, obviously, if it does come second, because let's be honest, that'll be a miracle in itself. They say it's going to lose to Flickertron, and that's going to be running 1 Vidalcan Aether Mage as well, which is the oddly specific thing I've ever heard.
Sure.
If that happens, I'm going to tell you, give me 6 numbers. That's for sure.
My hot take for next week is that we will have a PFP announcement. I don't know how hot that is, but I'm just sat here with my fingers crossed that we'll have some communication, even if it's just to say we are happy with the format.
I guess they did say August, right? Well, they didn't commit, but they did say likely August.
Yeah, and we're running out of August.
We're running out of Augusts. So it is quite likely. So I don't know how hot it is, but it definitely... I'm eager for it. I'm eager to say they're happy or they're not happy. I don't actually care what they say. We just want communication. Always nice. Because also, my hot take, for people that don't know, we're very high on the Marzaboy train here because, rep and dredge. So we're going to keep that train going. And my hot take is that Marzaboy will top 4 next week with dredge.
I feel like it's got to be pretty likely, right? With a 9th a 10th, and an 8th. We're getting there. The list's real.
Yeah. That's
Just
the
need
big
to
thing.
finish figuring out that sideboard.
Yeah. Figure out how to deal with High Tide, or whatever it is that I would assume High Tide, that the Momentary Blinks are for. Figure out that matchup in your side. Yeah, sweet. Always sweet. Anything else to add?
No, that's it from me.
Not biased because the wife picked the profession this week. But anyways, thank you all for the continued support. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please don't forget to share it with your friends, your family, your local Pauper community, and even your window fitter. That is all from us at Casting Commons. Until next time, and don't forget to stay hydrated. Peace!
Bye.